Hello, welcome back to a special Travers edition of On Point. I'm James Scully, joined by Vance Hanson. And Vance, before we get into who you like in the Travers, I was one thing I noticed taking an early look at the PPs is a potential lack of pace in the race. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on the way the race is going to shape up and whether we'll have a fast or decent pace.
Kind of hard to say. Like you said, there's kind of a lack of pace in this particular race. I wouldn't be surprised if Always Dreaming showed speed like he did in the Jim Dandy, and we'll try and take him a whole mile and a quarter. So it's going to be definitely a jockey's race, it appears at this point.
Well, would that dissuade you from maybe going with the late runner, like the setup?
It's going to be a little hard for me to say, until I see the race a little bit more closely when we get the past performances just a little bit later after we film this. So I'm reserving judgment for the time being.
One interesting feature about it, well publicized, first time since 1982, we've had all three winners of the Triple Crown races, Always Dreaming, Clef Computing, and Tapret. But 8 of the horses are 12-1 or less on the morning line. So while that Travers, 1982, none of the Triple Crown race winners won. Runaway Groom upset Alomas Ruler and Conquistador Cielo with Gato del Sol up the track. This year it wouldn't be that much of an upset if one of those three didn't win, because you have like a handful of logical win contenders. Good Samaritan won the Jim Dandy over the track by about 5 lengths. Garvin's coming off a victory in the Haskell. IRAP shipping in off back-to-back wins in Ohio Derby and Indiana Derby. Other horses as well, like West Coast from California for Baffert and McCracken, Haskell runner-up. Any early thoughts on horses you like or dislike?
As far as the premier 2 preps leading into this, the Jim Dandy and the Haskell, I thought the Jim Dandy was the better race. Good Samaritan making his first start on dirt. Crushed Cloud Computing and Always Dreaming, along with Giuseppe the Great, by more than 3 lengths in that particular race. Got a great setup in that race. Mm-hmm. I thought, of the protagonists from those 2 particular races, I think Good Samaritan is going to run a really good race this coming Saturday. But as far as my top pick, I might be going for the less exposed horse here. The East Coast horses have been beating each other up consistently on a regular basis, and the less exposed horse heading into this Travers is West Coast for Bob Baffert, who's won the Travers with Point Given. He won last year with Arrogate, and he arguably brought the best horse 2 years ago in American Pharaoh and just didn't work out particularly well. But Baffert seems to have a knack for getting 3-year-olds to fire big in this particular race, and he's very high on this particular horse. He's shipped well, arrived yesterday, I believe. The barn thinks he's a 1.25 mile type horse. He comes off a victory in the Los Alamitos Derby at 1 1/8 miles. So I kind of expect West Coast to give a good account of himself here.
Now, I've taken a look at West Coast, and I'm willing to go against the 3 Triple Crown race winners. I look at the race on paper. West Coast is in that group of main contenders, but one of my fears is his first stakes race was a one-turn easy goer. Granted, he won that Los Alamitos Derby at 1 1/8 miles, but didn't really beat much. Apparently, he was way wide the whole time. It was like a morning workout. It almost looked like watching it. And he doesn't have the numbers. I'm a little bit worried about, Arrogate to me had better numbers, and plus the 1.25 mile distance being by flatter out of an honor and glory mare. So I know the trainer, Jimmy Barnes, has said he likes the distance. My take is Good Samaritan is in that group as well, a main winning contender. I'm a little worried, though, in that Jim Dandy 5-horse field. It was on the inside part of the track the whole way until the far turn. I wonder if he'll get that same kind of trip on Saturday. It comes down to me between IRAP and Garvin. I think they are the strongest recent efforts in the field. They have the best recent speed numbers, and I wound up landing on IRAP. He got a 109 late pace rating winning that Ohio Derby, 109 speed rating. Got a 110 winning the Indiana Derby, a 102 speed rating. Ohio Derby, Garvin, who he beat by nose, came back and won the Haskell. In the Indiana Derby, Colonel's Dark Temper, who he crushed by more than 5 lengths and looked fantastic doing so, came back and easily won the West Virginia Derby. So I'm giving a little edge to IRAP.
Yeah, I agree with you on the point that the Triple Crown race winners don't look very strong, and here Always Dreaming, Cloud Computing coming off subpar showings in the Jim Dandy. Taproot hasn't run since the Belmont Stakes, which is an extremely good effort, but this is a pretty significant layoff, and I can't remember the last time a horse went from the Belmont to the Travers and won both
I think it was
races.
Birdsong.
Was it Birdstone?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
But
so
it's rare, and I
it's
think he
very
was
rare.
the first one to have done it in forever, or
Yeah,
possibly ever.
just in past times that just wasn't
Yeah.
done, so
Right.
to speak. So it's very rare that a horse will do that kind of perform that kind of feat. And I'm certainly not gonna dissuade you or blame you for picking IRAP or Gervin. Both have really come into their own this summer. I was at Indiana Grand to see the Indiana Derby, and IRAP, had a very wide trip in that particular race, and he just blew the socks off of that field by 5-6 lengths from what I remember. So yeah, IRAP is really coming in, and he's turned into a bit of a fan favorite, the Doug O'Neill trainee. So yeah, it looks like he's hitting this race right at his absolute peak, and he should be very competitive.
One thing's for certain, it's the term "it's a great betting race" is synonymous, I think, with this year's Travers. Plenty of options for horse players. It's going to be a dynamite card with 6 stakes on the undercard. Songbird, Lady Eli, big challenger from a couple of big challengers overseas for the Sword Dancer. So I'll be up there providing coverage for TwinSpires and Brisnet.com, and looking forward to it, and thanks for joining us for On Point.